So it's had the wrong bolt fitted. So this bolt, and it's a shank bolt, I made it fit the starter motor both ways. So the starter motor eventually goes on here when the engine is installed onto the gearbox. The bolt goes through. Now you can adjust the starter motor, and you turn the starter motor over till it sounds nice, and then you can lock it up. If you don't have the right bolt in the center of the starter motor, what happens is that, and somebody has welded it. They still haven't corrected the fault with the bolt, possibly because they didn't know, and I can't even get the bolt in. So what you do is you install your starter motor, you put this bolt in, and then you can put your other two bolts in loosely. You get the starter motor in the right position, you tighten it up, and then you put the other two bolts in. So this is scrap. While we're talking about the bell housing, it's always good to double check your reverse light switch. I put another one on, and I put new wiring in. Before I assemble this up, I will test it. Here is the old one, and it's rubbish. I've got to keep hold of that bolt because that is getting quite rare and valuable. So anyway, I've got all my gearbox parts, and very soon I'm just going to assemble all this stuff up. Before I do, I want to show you something quite interesting. This is second gear here, and the dog tooth has got lots of teeth on it. The old one doesn't, and it's worn out really badly. So what I've done is I've got a second-hand fifth gear. I've pressed this part off, and I'm using my second-hand fifth gear dog tooth, and I'm putting it on my second gear, and I'll put that on with a press later. When I assemble this gearbox up, I'm not going to use the press to crush everything in. What I'm going to use is my heater, and what I'll be doing is I'll be heating my rings, my synchro sleeve rings up, and placing them on with a pair of pliers. I'll be doing the same with, where is it gone? Yes, with that. I'll be heating this bearing up and putting it back on. In fact, I'll clean this bearing, make sure it's good. It is actually good, it's very, very nice. And that's it. I put my main shaft on the lathe and polished it up beautifully. I will have to use a press. I could use a press for that, but I won't. What I'll do is I'll heat this up and it'll just slip down nicely. Ditto the same with my reverse gear here. That won't go on. I'll heat that up and just slip it down nicely. And what else to show you? Yeah, I've also put my sleeves, my gear shift forks rods. I put them in the lathe, and I've given them a really, really lovely polish so they slide through. I then have to adjust them up with a micrometer to make sure that they're even. But you really don't want to watch me rebuild this gearbox because it takes too long, and it's not a job for the home enthusiast. But it is nice for people who own these lovely old cars to see the internals of a gearbox. Now, I've got a reconditioned one next door, and I've got a 2600 one next door as well. So, follow me and I'll show you the 2600 one. It's basically the same in here as it is there. The casing is slightly different. Come on through. Here is this one. I rebuilt that one last week, and I've got another one of these gearboxes going out to a customer over here. And that's going out this week, and I use red anaerobic paste to put these back together again. I've cleaned this part up where you put the slave cylinder. I've used a hone to clean it up, so when whoever fits it, it just slots in nicely. And I've cleaned this bolt hole up as well, so the guy won't struggle. That's about it. My name is Eddie from Alfaman Services. If you need anything, give us a shout. If you have any questions, give us a shout. If you need any spare parts, you can always look me up on eBay or on the old web.